Hey, welcome back to the channel. Still working on this old 89 XJS, and she's coming around real nicely. Starting on the interior work now, and as you see, I've got the seats pulled out and got the headliner out of there. And I'll jump in on a couple of tidbits on what you're going to encounter. Disregard the underneath of the dash. I'm still waiting on a couple of parts for the blower motors. We'll come back to those in just a minute. I want to show you something. So if anybody's working on one of these cars in the future, something to look for. So let me go through how to, or what I did to actually remove the headliner. So basically I took the seats out, and here's a couple of pointers for you folks. On this, let's call it the seat support bracket, it is a threaded hole. However, on the passenger side here, on the three other ones, there's actually a nut down in there, and you can barely see it, but it's that little flat deal. So be careful, don't lose that. The other thing is, these are just your standard T40 screws. There's no Loctite or anything on that, but they go through these hold downs that go in the channels of your seat. So you basically put your seat to the rear, you'll be able to get that one and that one. Push your seat up, you'll be able to get that one and that one. And then kind of tilt your seat back, and you're going to find this connector here, and that's your powered, your seat. And you're going to pinch on one side and the other, and then just pop it right off. Looks like we're missing our O-ring there. And then this little clip, you just basically pinch and pull. Now on the driver's side, you have a little bit more, and we'll go over that in just a minute. But you already know from previous videos how to drop the passenger side blower motor, and we're gonna use this side as our test because we'll be able to get the driver's side blower motor hooked up over here and test our power or mode switch once we get the battery back in the car. All right, to drop the headliner, there's other videos out there, but I'm going to show you how I did it because this car has the retractable seat belts. And you'll see the seat belts kind of hanging here because you do have to take off a couple of screws that on this support here, this track that your mouse rides in. They call that the mouse, but goes up there. See, on the front driver's side, it's over there, and on the back, it's jammed. So we're going to tackle that next, but you do need to take out a couple of screws on your channel if you have a retractable seat belts. If you don't, you just basically pop your, I don't know what you call this, your, see these little clips? There's holes along here, and they go on the back of the, this little rubber, I don't know what you call that, I guess bolster, but there you go. So those pop in the little pre-made holes. Some of them have a little rubber grommet in it. Let's see if I can find one. See, like that one back there, there's two. They have a rubber grommet, and those little metal clips kind of pop in there. It's real easy, just pop that off. Then you're gonna wanna take off your sun visors. So there's two screws here. There's one for the little support clip right there. And then you've got your rear view mirror, and that has 3 screws in it. You'll drop that down, unplug your rear view or your map light. And then you're gonna see, let's see if I can find one. There's little tabs that kind of bend up, and I've got one bent down right there. As well as right there. See, I've bent it down. Once you do that, there's a real good shot of those little holes that the clips pop into. Once you do that, your headliner is gonna basically fall down. And since you've got your seats out, I did take off the steering wheel. Let's go to the driver's side because I wanna show you over there how I got it out. We are having an absolute mad storm coming. I'll tell you what, it's supposed to rain for 2 days. We're supposed to get a couple, 3 inches and some hail. All right, back over on this side. Your headliner is going to be basically sitting down like that, okay? It's going to fall straight down. You're going to want to take the rear side and get it over to the passenger side door. And this is an American car, so left-hand drive. Headliner on this side, interior will be facing towards the dash, and then you're going to tilt it about like this. Steering wheel gone, removed. You're going to see where it rubbed the old chipboard right there. You're going to get it about like that through that door. Once you get it through the door, it's going to clear the steering wheel shaft, and then you're going to take it out just like that, okay? It's going to come out a little easier than you think. And the hardest part is kind of clearing here and your steering wheel shaft, okay? So if you need to bend it just a little bit, be careful. That stuff is just chipboard, but it'll come right out there. It'll be concave like this as it goes out. And the reason you got to turn it is because the rear of it, and what we're looking at right there is the rear is back there, is skinnier than the front side. So once you get about halfway down, you've got to make sure you clear your steering wheel shaft in order to get that sucker out of there. And we'll take a look at that in just a minute. But here's the driver's side. And again, you do have to take off a couple of screws that hold your retractable seat belt on. And you're going to be left with this. Now, as far as the rear seat, basically what you have is right under there is a little, like a, almost like you have there, a little slot. And so what you'll do on the rear seat is you'll pull it forward, then up, and it'll come right out. You don't need to take off your seatbelts on the rear. That's all you need to do. There's no other holders. If you see the screw there and there where I've reinstalled them, on the backrest side of it, you're going to take those off. You're going to tilt the back seat forward, lift it up because you've got little clips on the back of the rear seat there that kind of go down in those slots. Then what I did was I took the seat belt, pulled them all the way here, and stuck a screwdriver down in that little latch for the door so it's cleared. And then you'll be able to stand on either side of the car, and it's cleared everything. You're going to tilt it out like this, and then basically, and I took it out over there. So real easy. Now the side bolsters, there's one I'll show you over there because I've got the actual cover off, and I want to go into detail on how to do that because nobody's shown you how to do that yet. The side, the speakers and all of that for the rear, those need to come off as well. And there's a process for that we'll talk about in just a minute because I haven't done it. Now, these rear little kind of interior fascia panels, those same thing. You've just got these little grommets. You pop off the one on the top. There's one back there in the rear. You pop it off, disconnect the light, take it out, and I'm going to recover that with some appropriate gray color, or maybe we'll do some black leather. That'd be cool, matching this, or some brown leather matching the wood. I don't know. We'll see what we can do. Whatever matches the headliner and the rest of the car, I think would be cool. But back there, use the original gray, but the headliner do something else, right? So, on the driver's side, gauges out, simple. You have two, and I'll show you when we get to the gauges over there. Basically, you have two little screws up here at the top. You pull a cover off, pull the gauge set or cluster out, and then those wires right there, that little clip right there, let me grab it and show you. It has one side has a push tab. The other just kind of goes in there like that. If you can see it, it kind of rotates in. So you push one side and you'll be able to pull it right out. Same thing with that one. That's it. Two little plugs. And then your gauge cluster will come right out. If you have this steering wheel like I have, you know, the adjustable steering wheel, just pull it back out. Or if you have already got the steering wheel off, no big issue. The reason I took out the gauge cluster is I wanted to change all the bulbs while we're in there, since I had to take out the blower motor anyway. And you have to do that in order to get the blower motor duct, this, off of there. And I'm sorry for the mess, everything's in the way hanging here, but this sits in there kind of like that. It's connected on this end to your duct for your blower system from the Delair over there. You're gonna wanna take out your wood. There's two little metal clips on them, see right there? So just get your trim tool about right here and just prong them out, or if you wanna reach up underneath there and pinch, you could do that. Then you'll take the little, the vent adjuster out, and it just kind of sits in here. Then you'll have your pipe, and you'll be able to push it that way towards the frame of the car or the door. Push it that way. You'll clear that out. This slides over the one that's up in there. Push it this way, tilt it this way, and take it right out of your gauge cluster area. And then as far as dropping the fuse box, you've just got a nut there and a nut there that's on the blower motor, and then these slot on there. And then same thing on the top, you have another one. That whole, I guess, fuse and relay panel will just drop straight down. Then you take out your two bolts that hold your blower motor in. And I did not take off the blue duct, but I probably will do that. Your blower motor, you know, close the rear flap, drop it down. It comes right out. Now, I'll probably take out that blue duct, take it, because I saw another guy on YouTube that was doing this. He actually put it in there and rotated, put it in there like that and rotated that blue duct around his steering column. I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in there, man, and we'll see. I may just reach up in there and retape that because I can get to it way easier now. So yeah, she's all in pieces right now. Did get the radio back in, did get all the fuses, the light bulbs, and all of that kind of stuff. All see, this old tape just comes right off. Got the fuses, all the bulbs and everything replaced, connectors cleaned up in the ski slope, I guess they called it. The hardest part of that damn thing was getting that radio back in and getting those wires tucked back up underneath there. So you got to take your hand under here, kind of push the radio in, and then just kind of fish the wires up underneath here. You do not need to take out your ashtrays, but you do need to take out your bezels for your cruise control if you have it, and your cigarette lighter. The tabs for this bezel to go through this plate are here, 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 and here. On this side, they're on the outside, okay? So get your trim tool under here, lift it up so you kind of make it concave, and then take your trim tool and push it, and you'll be able to clear that tab. Trim tool up here in the front, push under here with another trim tool, you'll clear the tab, it'll come right out, and then you can disconnect the wires, and you've got that little 8mm bolt there and there that actually clamps this down, and then the big screw back here at the back. There is a washer in there, in that black thing that goes between this screw and that hold down. And the reason for that is there's a gap between it for a couple of wires and to make it nice and smooth. So if you crank this back down without that little, well, actually it's a pretty thick washer. It's about a 1/4 inch thick or 1/8 inch thick. But if you clamp back down, you're going to put a lot of stress here, and see how it did? But look at that ski slope. Look at how it cleaned it. I mean, I put butcher block conditioner on it. You know, like cooking butcher block out of the kitchen. Rub that on there. It just soaked it right up. I did a couple of coatings, and that thing matches everything in here. It's wonderful. Same thing with it matches the, look at this. The vent caps, see? Look at that. So everything's back as far as wood's concerned. Let's jump on the other side, and I'm going to show you on the retractable seat belts a couple of things that you're going to need to know to get those off. They're pretty easy. It's basically just this long channel that bolts to the side of your frame of your car. Okay. Then it comes down like this. You have a connector. You're going to have to take that screw out. Then there's this. And let's see. Where's the other one? Right there. They're I think they're T40s. Okay. And you'll take those out. This cover, how to get that off. See that little nub? It goes right down in that slot. So if this was like that, you push it up a little bit and then pull it towards the back of the car, and then it hangs on that little metal bracket right there that's riveted, okay? And then this thing is going to be loose. Then all we're going to need to do is take off this panel here and this trim piece here. And there's one screw back there. And grab our hand right here and pull it out and lift it up because it's clipped in like that. So you have to take that one little screw out right there on both sides, all right? And then we'll be able to take those off, and we'll look at the speakers and all that kind of stuff while we got that off. But we're gonna jump into these retractable seat belts, check the relays, check the cable. I understand those get kinked up. The motors, we'll clean all that out. We'll do that separate video, standalone, just what I'm gonna do to them. I'm not gonna try to break them because one of those, it's an entire assembly. Basically, it comes, you screw it back in, and you put your side head protector pad in there, door jamb pad, whatever. Bolt it back in, plug everything up, and there you go. But few things of advice, just what we're working on. And let's take a look over here. I want to show you, there's the seat. It's actually upside down. That's the back panel that goes in there. And there's where your screw would go. And then those right there and there are where they slide down. So that's why you got to lift the seat, take the screws out, lift the seat up, and then pull it forward and out. As far as the bottom is concerned, real easy. Just lift it up and pull it forward. There's not a round part that goes around the seat belt, so you can leave them in. The front seats we've already covered. There's the passenger side, the driver's side sitting over there. We'll clean all that leather up and condition it. Let's talk about the gauge cluster itself for just a minute, because I think somebody did a video on this and they had trouble doing it or getting it out of the car. Let me turn it over so you see how it would be sitting in the car. And be very gentle with this. This is old plastic, and that, whatever that relay plastic diagram thing is. But it'll be sitting in the car like that. The only thing you need to do is there's a cover that goes here, a little plastic kind of cover. Get your trim tool, pop that off. There's a screw right there that goes through that white that goes to the frame of the car. Same thing on this side. And then the whole thing will slide straight out, and you'll be able to take off the two connectors on the back. And then if you want to, like I am, take off this piece, your warning light. There's a screw there, and there's a screw there. Just take your thumb and your finger right here on the edges, and this will just slide straight out, just like that. Okay, there's all your warning lights. Don't worry about all those clips. Those just kind of spring it back in there. Down in there, you've got your little, I don't know, 3-watt bulbs, I guess? Yeah, they probably are. And I think all those are, 1.2 volts. 2721. So see those tiny little 1.2 watt, 12 volts. Those little things just pull right out. Let me see if I can get one. Come on. Oh, can't do it one-handed, sorry. But they just pull out of the little prongs there, and there's a bunch of them in there. So I've got some of those on order. There's a little felt pad here that goes over your steering area. And then let me flip it over so you can see the lights that actually illuminate the gauges, and you'll see how that works. Really dirty, and I'll replace this tape. You know, it looks like it's coming apart. But here's your gauge lights, the actual ones that illuminate the RPM and the fuel tank and all of that, and your speedometer. So you've got one there, one there, one there, one there, one there. And then here is where your two clips go in, and basically they just plug in just like that. Look around on your ground, see if you see any melted or corrosion. You might want to polish that up a little bit or put some dielectric grease on it. I'm not going to do that on this because this looks good to me. But the way you get these light bulbs out is you just pull them straight out. See that those little prongs, those metal prongs? And there's your, what is it, T194, just standard, what is that, a 3 watt? Can't really read it. Let's get over here on the paper. Yeah, 3 watt. So I'm gonna go ahead and replace all of those, plug those back in so we have a good lighting in our instrument cluster. I've seen some people do LEDs. I'm not doing that. I want the originality of this car, man. I want to get in there and have that soft glow like in the 70s and 80s, you know, ambience. So there you go. That's real easy. I do need to find this little thing here. The clips have broken off. What this is that's the armrest clip, and it was broken when I bought it, but this kind of sits down in there, and it looks like somebody's tried to pry that thing out before, but it's like that. And then this little clip goes on there, so it's the actual housing that's broke. And we'll go ahead and maul that back down there. So I do need to find one of those. That's probably a $75 part from Jaguar. I'm not going to glue it back in there. So there's that. All right, let's jump back over to the blower motors because I think that's where we left off on the last video. And I want to show you a couple of things on the driver's side blower. Oh, I did get the bulbs for our LED taillight, or bulb/LED taillight. So that's all ready to go back together. I do need to kind of adhere the foam stuff back on there, and we'll put that back in at the very end. But remember whenever I was showing you the passenger side blower here and the soldering that had come away, and then once we connected the soldering back up for the what is that, the Darlington transistor right there, we connected this back into the car as well as that, turned the mode switch, came right on. So it was the solder. On this side, looks like somebody's been in there before. That solder does not look original. And there's some taping job here. I've already got the screws in them, but the, you know, the resistors don't look quite as bad as far as the wiring's concerned. But here's what I found on this side. Connected it to 12 volt and it did not come on at all. I was like, oh no, what's going on? Is it the brushes? Is it the motor? Is the motor fried out? Well, I pulled out the relay that's up in there. Remember, you have a relay inside there. Right there. It's upside down in this case, but it would be plugged in. And then you get your, what I used is long forceps, grab it, pull it out. On this one, I took it out and I was going to test it. So let's look at, there's how this relay works. 85 to 86 is your direct. 3087 is your switch, right? So if you see here, the way you test this is you would connect it up to the, obviously the two flat pieces there that feed through, and then you would see if it would switch. Now watch what happens whenever I test this relay. So let's get this one, where's that diagram? I want to make sure I get this right. All right, so 85 is the direct line. So we need to have it like this for the positive. Oh, you guys are going to love this. If you've ever tested a relay and you know they're supposed to click, watch what happens with this one. Don't you love my little homemade device here, my relay tester? Just a standard old 12 volt with some wiring connectors under the screw and some of the little blade connectors slided on there. And watch this. All right, you wanna see some welding action? All right, let's test the backside. No clicking, okay? Let's test here. No click. Here we go. Whoa, it almost stuck itself on there. That is a bad relay, like a real bad relay. Look at that. Yeah. That is basically just shorting out my, ooh, the wire got hot. That's just shorting out my battery in there. So this thing probably went out, fried the freaking motor or something, cooked all of the relays and the fuses. And obviously, you know, they were short-circuiting this car to hotwire it because they couldn't find the key. So we got that all fixed, but yeah. So there we are, driver's side relay. I don't know what the brushes look like. I didn't take out the brushes. I know the motor on the passenger side worked. There's the brush right there. Where's my light? And from what I understand, reading is you can just go down to the hardware store and get you a standard brush. Can I get the light in there for you guys? I'm not sure. Yeah, the brush would sit right there behind that big kind of white gray with the metal clip on it. So you take that clip off and then you've got just a little standard brush in there that's, I don't know how long that is, maybe 1/4 inch or so. Most critical thing in replacing brushes to make sure you get the same circumference, because you don't want it wobbling around in there. You want to make sure it's nice and smooth in the channel that it's designed for. But you know, the fan spins. Doesn't sound like anything's grinding or anything. The other thing I found on these blowers, boy, this is just some ingenuity. Do you see they have metal rods connected to a plastic bracket, which is assembled with a plastic push pin. The plastic push pin, let's use this one as an example, has a spring connected to it through a hole. And then the spring has this little rubber covering to protect the metal from hitting the plastic. Plastic push pins. I took out one of the push pins. Well, when I took out the driver's side motor, or blower motor, the little flap here, which side was it? This one was just kind of dangling, like it got jammed. And look at that. The push pin is here, and the little hole that the spring would go through is sheared off. And of course, this thing was not doing its job properly. So I might try to see if I can't find some brass little push tabs here at Ace Hardware or something like that, with the same diameter and with a hole on the end, and then lube those up appropriately and put those back in, because that's just, you've got a metal door, a metal spring, a plastic rotating pivot pin, and a plastic bracket. Now the bracket's pretty firm and sturdy, but this little tiny, like 2mm diameter, anyway. Yeah, that's what I discovered on that side. So the door was getting jammed up, so our vacuum actuator probably wasn't working. This thing overheated. Oh, I hope it didn't wreck this blower motor, because these are sold now as an entire assembly. If it won't work, if I go through and I test everything and clean up the soldering and replace I do have two new, I was able to find some new old stock relays coming, and they're supposed to be here, I think, Monday or Tuesday next week. If I put the relays back in here, we know the passenger side works now. So straight power, connected, mode control switch, everything works. I don't know if it was a fuse down under the ski slope. I don't know if it was the fuse or the corrosion under the fuse panel itself, but I do know that this side works. So my only concern is those plastic push pins on this side, and maybe the brushes. On this side, I'm concerned because this shorted out. And that means direct current was going through everything electrical here. And I don't know if it welded up the brushes or what. And one of these, I think just to get one from Moss Motors or something like that, I think they're like $250, $275 plus shipping. And so if that's the case, if I find out I can't repair anything here and the electrics are all shot, then I'll go ahead and I'll disassemble this thing and I'll show you. We'll take a couple of rivets and some bolts out and we'll see what's in there as far as the electric motor is concerned. Yeah, it looks okay. It really does. I hope maybe this thing did what it's supposed to do. The fuse blew, this got overheated, shorted out, and went from there. But somebody's been in here before because I can tell by this soldering job. And we'll replace that Darlington transistor. You know, it's basically, if you think about it, it's a temperature switch. So it's got to be cooled off by the incoming air, but it adjusts according to voltage. And then, you know, obviously the, where's the other one? The little, oh, does it not have one on this side? Huh, I guess it's over only on the passenger side. This one actually has your little, like a mass airflow sensor thing here with your little resistor in there. And yeah, I guess it's not on the driver's side. Wow. I would have thought it had been. I guess it gets all its information from the passenger side, because also on the passenger side is that ambient temperature gauge thing, that little hole, that Venturi hole with a sensor inside of it. So anyway, I'm talking, rambling. Let me jump back in the car and I'll show you what I was talking about, the ambient temperature sensor. Ugh. So I guess all the input comes from the passenger side. Wow. Okay. Learn something new every day. Yeah, the ambient temperature sensor is just basically this tube with these this wire here, and it just has a kind of how hot or cold it is or how much air is flowing over it and all that. So, wouldn't have thought that. I thought they would have had one on both sides that talk back together or talk to one another. I guess it's just passenger side. Makes sense because you got a fuse box over here on the passenger side for all the blower motor and stuff like that, and your big fuses are over here. All right, there's the headliner, and you see it's cracked back at there in the back. That's the skinny side, so that wasn't damage taken out. That was actually what was sagging down. I took the fabric off and the foam back. This foam that was on there was disgusting. I went outside with a brush and then took a blower. So I'm thinking this chipboard's in okay condition. A couple of little places here along the edge. I think what I'm going to do with this is before we start putting things back together, we get our seat belts fixed and all of that. I think what I'll do is I'll get some fiberglass and either A, make a new headliner out of fiberglass, or coat this with fiberglass fabric and kind of glue it down to the chipboard. Just reinforce this because this does have a sound deadening. That's why this is there. Because if you go inside the car without a headliner, you hear how it echoes. And look at that head. or the metal up there, a little bit of brown where it was rubbing, but man, and there's no support in the middle. So we definitely want to make sure we get this thing reinforced quite a bit before we put it back in. But I don't know, maybe somebody took this out before or something. It wasn't me because it was cracked when I took that thing off of there. And yeah, it's okay. We'll get that at the very end. I think that'll be the last thing we kind of reassemble whenever we get back in there, because all you need to do then is just put in your side bolster stuff and your frame pads and stuff like that. But here's one last look at the seats. They're in fabulous condition. I'm going to condition everything up. I'm going to just goop it with some saddle soap, clean all that up, and then I'm going to get some leather conditioner and just let that stuff sit on there. And then I'll come back a couple of days later and buff it off. And then we'll use our tried and true beeswax armor. I think it's made by Armor. Yeah, just complete care. This stuff smells wonderful. It's just AutoZone stuff. So we'll put that on there at the very end and go from there. Got our fuel sending unit on the way. So millions of half-done projects because I'm waiting on like bulbs, relays, got to finish the seat belts, and then tackle the headliner. So a lot of stuff going on here. Thanks so much for watching. We'll come back and I'll detail a standalone video on the retractable seat belts on the Jaguar XJS, because that was an optional item and I think a lot of people don't have them, or they probably taken them off by now. I want to keep them on this car because they're original to the car, and I want to keep this thing as original as possible because, you know, a $1,500 car in this condition that would have cost what, $125,000, $130,000 equivalent back in 1989 in 2026 money. I'll tell you, it's a very good condition. So we're going to keep this all original, and just like we did with the CJ2A and with the Volkswagen CC and with the Mini Cooper, but we're not talking about the Volkswagen GTI because that thing was that was a money pit, but I put a lot of effort in that thing to make it a monster. So, all right, folks, so thanks so much. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I do, if you like the car. If you have any advice on anything else I'm doing, please make sure to comment down below and consider subscribing to the channel. Take care and have a wonderful week.